Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and I'm really excited about today's show. I'm sure that you've noticed the transformation, excuse me, stumbling over my words here. I'm sure you've noticed the transformation downtown in Ponchatoula over the last few years. What was once a vibrant antique community is transforming some with a happening new art scene. And so today we're interviewing one of the biggest players in the thriving Ponchatoula art scene. That is Mandy Mae, the owner and artist at Follow Your Art. You're going to love what she has to say. It's a great story about how she met this great local guy through church. They fell in love. She moved here to Ponchatoula, and she's just been kicking butt ever since. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mandy Mae. Mandy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Parker. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Why don't we start off with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, well, my name is Mandy, like you said earlier. Most people call me Mandy Mae, especially my mom when I was in trouble. So I kind of stuck with it. Then my fiance, he called me that ever since we met. So I was like, yes, that's what I'm going to go by for the rest of my life. I am originally from St. Charles Parish from Luling. I located in Ponchatoula about 5 to 6 years ago. I love this town. Whenever I first came here, I was like, I knew it was set in my heart. It's like, I'm going to move here one day. And then before I knew it, this is where I ended up. And I love it here. I was like, I'm not going to live anywhere else. So you can't make me go back. Can you make me go back?
Well, we're so glad that you came here because, you've been a great addition to the town. And you mentioned, your fiance, Josh, and you fell in love with him first and Ponchatoula second, I assume, or maybe the other order?
No, it's the other way around. Sorry,
okay.
Josh.
Neat. Now, I understand you two met through church at the mission. Is that right?
We did. Josh, actually, we both met at like a not stormy time in our lives, but it's the right time. And everybody's like, don't meet nobody in church. Like, it's a good thing to go to church. Normally that's the weak people, but,
right.
Like for me, of course, me being who I am, I was like, no, it's a sign, so.
That's exciting.
I was like, you got to be a good guy against the church. So,
Well, the mission's a wonderful church. There's so many great folks here locally that go there. It does a lot of great things in the community. So it's neat to see a cute love story spring out of there. And I know you two are getting married here pretty soon, around Strawberry Festival time.
We are. April. Right.
Well, as we mentioned off air, when I was talking to the two of you, my wife and I got married in April too. So I wish you guys as much happiness and love and fun times ahead as we've had. It's a great time of the year to get married anywhere in the world, but especially here in Ponchatoula, it being berry country. Well, tell us a little bit about, your journey and how you got to where you are today professionally, because we're going to dig in deep later about Follow Your Art and all the great services you provide, from art classes to custom artwork to, whatever. But I know you didn't just snap your fingers and become a business owner, an art teacher, and a thriving artist overnight. Why don't you tell us a little bit, and maybe start with how you got started in art?
Okay, well, all through high school and middle school, actually, I was tested for gifted, talented art in about fifth grade. My mom at the time, of course, she pursued it. She's like, Mandy, you need to go for it. It's really cool. So I remember even at that age, I was in the art world, and then through high school, I took art classes. Well, then college comes, and my father at the time, he was not supportive of the art idea. He was just, not that he didn't support me, but he thought art wasn't a job. There's no real jobs in the art world. You need to go for business or something else. So I actually went to Delgado. I had to pay for my own college because my dad wasn't letting me go for what I wanted to. So I was like, well, fine, I'm going to go for what I want and pay for it myself. So, haha, but I was a brat about it. Needless to say, though, I ended up still needing his support. So for my major, I went for visual communications, which was my way around getting all my art electives still and being happy about it. I was like, all right, I'm just going to cheat and take all the art I can and not tell. But then I came out of it and then ended up going in a whole different field. I was in the service industry for a while. Ended up working as a front desk girl at a hospital, then moved my way up in registration. And then I became administrative assistant for a bigger hospital. So it was just crazy. But in back of my head for the last, I guess, 9 years of my life, I thought, okay, art's not a real job. I need to get a real job, which means like hospital or office desk or something, because that's a real
Right.
job. So in my head, that was my future, and like, that's where I was going to be at. So it was different to see me just branch off one day into the art world, which I kind of blame on my fiance for pushing me, because honestly, I thought I was going to go crazy. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to make this a job. But Ponchatoula had the art and wine show. I guess it was 3 years ago, the one last year, so the one before that. That was my first time I ever put art like on a wall for people to buy or see. So for me, that the town had that, I was like, okay, it's cute, it's Ponchatoula, like people love stuff no matter what I hear. It's a reason to go out in the street. I was like, this wine show is like the best idea ever. I was like, I was like, I'm just gonna do it, fine. Like it's a goal, I'm gonna set it, we're gonna do it. So we did it. We set up in front of State Farm that year in that little corner up there, and I was busy. Like I sold almost everything I had on my display. Probably I had like 5 pieces of art left out of like 42.
Whoa! So, and this is your first time as a professional. Never sold a piece of art before, and you almost sell out.
No, really. I've done like little things for friends for like baby shower gifts throughout my life, but never sold anything ever. So that was a big surprise for sure. I was just like, whoa, that night I was like dumbfounded by not the success, but like here I am, like girl not from here, and people are like loving my art, and people are like, where's your website? Where's your Facebook page? And I didn't have any of that. I didn't have business card, nothing. I felt like really unprofessional at the time. I was like, oh gosh.
So it sounds like Josh scored some major points in a young relationship at that point by helping nudge you in that direction.
He did for sure. But it's different when you have somebody else who believes in you. Like, you might minorly believe in yourself, but when you have somebody in your corner who's like fully supporting it, you know, it's like you feel like you're going to accomplish the world. Nobody else even has to like it. As long as he does, you know, it's like a
well, what a revelation, because it sounds like you kind of, you know, I mean, the fact that you tell a story of finding an end around to study the art that you loved, you know, when you're being told by your dad, this isn't a real career, you know, it sounds like, although you may not have known yet you could do it, it sounds like you always kind of knew in your gut there was something there. Am I onto something there? Or,
for sure.
But you needed a little bit of a loving nudge from somebody you cared about and trusted to help you get there. Well, having such a successful opening night, I mean, did you just know right then, hey, I can do this? Or, you know, what was the next step in the process?
So that was like September, I want to say. The next month, I had a few people call about doing Christmas gifts, you know, from that exposure, from the art and wine shows. So then before I knew it, like the next 2 months, I must have had like 60 orders of like just different little gifts and things, because everybody wanted these little items that I had.
Whoa. So 60 orders. And at that point, do you even have your website or Facebook?
No, nothing.
This is just word of mouth?
Yes. And they found a personal Facebook to like find my name. I guess they located me, and it was just crazy. I was talking to Josh, and I was like, you know, I'm going to have to make a decision to either give up my whole social life, everything, like try to leave work early to get all these orders done. I don't know what to do. And then Josh was like, Mandy, he's like, put in your 2 weeks and quit your job. I was like, whoa. Like, I was like, there's no way. I went to church. I prayed on it for like a week or two. Like, I was like, there's no way I can just quit my big girl job that I'm supposed to have. He's like, Mandy, hospitals are always hiring for what you do. If it doesn't work out, go back. And I was like, okay, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And I did it like a crazy person. But every step that I took towards it, like, of course you feel like that, you know, empty feeling in your stomach. It's like, oh, is this the right thing I'm doing? But like something always told me in the back of my head, like, this is right. This is what you're supposed to do. And like, I'm a really religious person. So when I go to church and I pray on stuff, it's like, I can feel like that comfort and like that extra, like, not strength that I get from it, but like that just reassurance feeling that this is what you're supposed to do. So it's been crazy. So I just follow that little feeling. If I don't feel it, I'm like, okay, not making that decision ever again. But so it's been crazy.
So you took the leap. Okay. Wow. That's terrifying. I'm sure, you know, goodbye health insurance. Hello. Self-employment. I'm so glad you mentioned the role of faith here, because, you know, how can you get through something like that without faith? I mean, it would be so tough. What comes next? I mean, how did it go from there?
So I ended up quitting, like I said, and I worked out of my house from, I guess, right after December, January. February makes my month. So I meet Miss Kim Zabia, who's Actually,
Sure.
Josh knew pretty good. They're actually related down the line somewhere. I'll get him
Okay.
the
Yeah.
whole
The
story.
Kim Sabia, the queen of the local art scene, our first lady. Okay.
And I never knew, I didn't even, honestly, Miss Kim, do not kill me, but I've never heard of her. I didn't know who she was. And everybody on the phone was like, oh, Miss Kim's work's beautiful. And I'm
Oh,
like,
but you're from St.
"It's
Charles.
so
That's
good."
natural. Yeah, had you grown
Yeah,
up here and not known Kim Sabia, we could get on to you, but
right,
that's okay.
right. And I didn't even know, like, she was a high school teacher for so long out here. I didn't really know anything. I didn't even know, not her level of, like, fame in the art world. No idea. So I just meet this
Right.
lady. And
Mm-hmm.
when I met with her, she was looking for someone to rent the space next to her at the art station. She had closed off like a little section, about 800 square feet, and she was looking for somebody who could either do photography, paint, just be in the art world. So, do pottery, anything in the art
Mm-hmm.
world. But when I met her, I was like, well, Miss Kim, I would love to have a little space just because I needed the extra space to move out of my house because I needed somewhere to work. And I can kind of have like a storefront in a way there for people to come view some of the things I've done. And it was like right off the block of Ponchatoula, downtown.
Right.
So I was like, it's a great location. And, starting rent was like perfect for my budget. And I was like, I think I can do this. And I was like, Miss Kim, well, I do photography too. I do this. I love like
Mm-hmm.
the art world. Like I do a little bit of everything when it comes to art. And she's like, well, what is your main goal, like, with your art? What do you want to do? And I was like, well, it's like, if it comes down to it, I always wanted to teach kids art classes. Like, I want to be that person who pulls out of the kids, hey, you can be this, like, great artist and, get their escape. Like, I never had that as a kid. Besides, when I went to art school, I wish my parents could have found an art class to put me in, just because I know how much influence and impact that would have had on my life. So
Right.
that's been the main goal to do. And Miss Kim's like, that's perfect because I actually teach adults next door and I don't teach kids and you could do the kids. And I was like, that's great because that's what I would love to do. And it kind of started, I had to get my foot in the door there. And then having Miss Kim next door was like a blessing. She became like my mother figure. I actually lost my mom a few
Yeah,
years
well, you
back.
couldn't have found a better mentor because the things you described to want to do for our community now is what she spent a career doing, teaching
Yeah.
kids art and bringing that out of them. So at this point, I guess the Mandy Mae Art Studio expands from Mandy Mae and your artistic creations into Follow Your Art and the teaching.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
So tell us about that. What are some services, so folks like me, I've got two little boys, they're preschoolers, but, I can tell you this, at his very first career day in pre-K, my little boy Luke dressed up as an artist. That's what he wanted to be. So how can folks like us with aspiring young artists, get involved with you at Follow Your Art and tell us about the classes you offer and how that works.
So I have a few different things for kids. We do 5-week sessions. I say a month, but really it's 5 weeks. Just because some of the weeks months fall out, I really just do 5 weeks at a time. But I have different groups. We have ages 5 to 9. Then I have 10 to 13, and then 13 to 17 as well. So I break them up into groups in different days of the week, and we pretty much come every Tuesday or Wednesday for that 5 weeks. And then also we do 2 days at the month. I do like kids art time, like on a Saturday morning for my kids who can't come during the week that just want to come paint and have fun. Those are more fun when my classes are more like educational based. Like we do like color theory and value and like tricks and tools of the trade that once again, I wish I had at a younger age to practice that. You get to high school and it's like a whole book and you're like, what do you want me to do with this? Like all your definitions and terms. But I feel like if, you get them started at a young age, then they're stuck with it and it becomes, repetition at that point. So everything. But and then also every third Sunday of the month we do kids like Sunday school art. So actually just last week we did the Garden of Eden. Like we'll watch a little cute children's story clip of
Cool.
what's happening in the Bible, and create what your version you think of that looked like. So it was cool to see like the tree of knowledge and like all the cool like little snake that my kids did, like their vision of what they thought the Garden of Eden was. So we do fun different things. And then once a month I do a family art night. So you can come in with your kids together and all create like a cool abstract piece of art to hang in your house that all of you guys created together. So, I just try to teach them different things there. So it's cool.
I'm hearing a lot of great things there from, the actual foundational tools of becoming a great artist. It's just some fun Saturday, great time to, Sunday school. I mean, that's so neat. And it sounds like a good date night built in there too, for folks that want to come in.
That's that once a weekend. And then I do the regular paint and sip once a month as well. Cause I get my girls who just want to come and hang out. And I
Sure.
love the fact that the most feedback I got from that was people in Ponchatoula was looking for something to do, with their friends that they don't have to go to
Right.
Hammond or Baton Rouge or wherever
Sure.
else.
Yeah.
They can stay local in town. And then not to mention right here on the main street, you have Brew and Brew and you have all these awesome
Right.
restaurants down here that you can make a day out of it and have fun with your friends. So it's really
Well,
cool to have it
let's
all kind
talk
of
about
family.
that because I've been a downtown business owner for over a decade now. And I'm now off of Main Street, but the first 12 years, my law practice was right there, a block or so down from you, right across the tracks. And it has been so great to see the evolution of the Ponchatoula downtown because Rue and Brew, Randy Tomini, they've always had good restaurants there, but it's gotten better, I mean, and meaning the facilities, the remodeling is better. We now have Paolo's right across the way. You have great restaurants downtown and this thriving art community, because obviously the Zabbias have made that a priority. You're not the only art gallery in town. Tell us about, this downtown. What's it like to do business in 2020, 2021, especially as an art gallery and art class teaching? And what do you think about that? The downtown development district, just give us your perspective as a business owner of what that's like and where you see things going.
Right. So I know it's COVID season and all the businesses right now are almost jeopardized. Half the income has been taken away just because of everything going on. So it's extra hard as a shop owner, as a downtown business person. So you get scared for a little bit and you're like, well, do I take chances? Do I stay open? Do I make this work? Do I stock up inventory? So I get it is scary, but I feel like somehow our downtown businesses, we're still doing it. We're still making it.
Right.
I haven't seen anybody on the strip have to close down or, light hours. For some reason, and I blame the community for loving so much and supporting local that I still feel like this business has thrived so much that I was even able to open and expand due to this community, which I love so much how everybody came together during this time to help all of our shops. For development of the town,
Sure.
I know Ponchatoula is all about antiques, and I think that's awesome that people hunt here for antiques. But also, I love that this town's almost becoming a spot for the art. I mean, we have Revival, we have, Kimberly House that just opened. We have other shops too, even the strip. All the shops on the strip are starting to put a little art in their windows and sell art.
Right.
So I think it's really cool that our people from out of town are stopping by. We're almost like the new Bay St. Louis or how Denham Springs is now. It's people are coming here because they can find art and all these different cool things that represent us, as a community. So it's really cool. And
that's a great point. Because we have some great artists here, and it brings people downtown. And while they're here to buy your art, I mean, clearly you created a demand very quickly from night one and just took off. But they're gonna grab a bite to eat. They're gonna grab a drink, perhaps. They're gonna spend dollars at adjacent businesses, and maybe they're just walking up and down that strip and end up, in CJ's Antiques buying a couch or something too. If you don't mind, I want to shift gears a little bit here because I see that we've gotten a few comments. And I should mention, if you're watching this is a Facebook Live show, so you have the ability to comment down below. And Mandy and I will do our best to read your comments. And if you have questions or anything like that, address them. But our friend here, Emily Bougier Hatfield. Emily, if you're still watching, I don't know if you knew this, but you got mentioned last week. We were talking about love earlier, Mandy, and the April being a magical month with your wedding coming up that month. In April, before I got married in April, Emily Bougier Hatfield actually introduced me to my wife at the Strawberry Festival. So, Emily, thank you for watching the show. You comment here that Mandy is such a sweetheart and a brilliant artist, and of course I agree. And once again, every time I see you, I got to thank you for bringing Brandy into my life. You've been such a dear friend. Please give my best to Clint. And also gave you a little bit of a shout out last week when your Aunt Trish was our guest. So thank you for tuning in. Amy Wiggins, who's a wonderful woman that I have the pleasure of working with here at my law firm. Did y'all work together at the hospital? Is that how y'all know each other, or is it through art class?
No, I think her daughter Elizabeth. So
okay. Oh man, yeah, sassy as we call her. Elizabeth is a gorgeous. Yeah, she's such a wonderful spirited girl. Amy says Elizabeth loves her art classes with Miss Mandy. Amy's just a treasure. And thank you so much, Amy, for tuning in. It's so cool to see you watching. I hope Elizabeth is there watching with you, watching her art teacher here. Nicole, Valine, I might not be saying that right, but she says her daughter loves going to art class with you. Nicole, thank you so much for tuning in. Josh,
Oh God, here he goes.
Josh, you're saying you better show some love to your fiance. Josh, I want to thank you. Josh is the reason we have Mandy on the show. It was his bright idea to bring her on the show. And so, Josh, I owe you a debt of gratitude for making that connection for me, as do our viewers. And Josh is a great guy. Can't say enough good things about him. Of course, the Poche family, one of the oldest, best families in town. As I mentioned to Josh off the air before the show, my best friend is a Poche. His last name's Richardson, but his mom is a Poche and lives on Poche Road. And that's just a great family of the best strawberry farmers you'll ever meet.
Yeah, whenever I got with him, I was like, "Where's all the strawberry fields?" He was been gone a while. And I was like, "Wait."
Yeah.
I moved to Ponchatoula and think I'm getting lucky with a strawberry farmer, and there's no more strawberries.
Right. Yeah. They're moving out. The problem, the residential real estate here became so valuable. The strawberry farming has kind of moved out of town for large part. But I can tell you, when it was hopping here, nobody was doing it better than the Poches. Kelly Bowman says Riley loves going to art class. Kelly, thank you for tuning in.
I'm a senior, actually. I think 6 o'clock. So I'll see her later.
That's neat. And Chris Fontenot asks, are there any conversations to have more art-specific events in town? Art and wine, beer walks. Mandy, do you know anything about that? Any kind of planning?
Soon. The art and wine stroll, like I said, I can't wait for that to launch back up. But with COVID, it's kind of hard to plan anything. And then, with our phases slowly going back or coming forward, you can't really make promises that you can't keep. But I know for sure I cannot wait till we are out of this little stump, because I know even for my students, which Riley, his daughter, actually, I teach. I can't, I want to do every 6 months, have a kids gallery night here too, and set up, their little areas in the gallery on the strip. Get with a couple business owners and see how they would like to have, their kids there in their shops as well, and just kind of make a kids art stroll too, because I want to get kids art.
I love that. We could cook them up with a little grape juice, Or,
right. Let them live the life and discuss what's in that painting. So
yeah, I can tell you what. When my boys aren't yet old enough for your classes, but when they get there, I know they would dig that. Chris, that's a great question. We appreciate you bringing that up, man. That's a good one. Well, and you think about it, that an event like the one he suggests here, that's what kind of got you in this game, right, Mandy? I mean, it
did. I fully support it too, and it's crazy. The ideas, and there's so much potential to even grow from what we do, and even all the businesses. I feel like it gets them exposure too, and helps them. The art and wine school, of course, for me as an artist, I fully support it. But I think it's a great idea, and I cannot wait for it to happen again.
You're absolutely right, because I can tell you, even as somebody who, my business is a law, practice as a personal injury attorney, seems absolutely unrelated to art, right? I mean, it is. Yet it helps my business, right? I mean, if downtown's packed, somebody's going to end up needing to park here in my parking lot, and suddenly they're going to know we've got this law firm right here on the corner. You don't have to call those guys from TV. And it helps a business that seems totally unrelated. So it's not just restaurants and antique shops next door and bar rooms downtown that are going to see benefit. Thank God they will, and they'll see a big benefit. But everybody, the feed store is going to get work, because when you park there to walk down to art, you're going to remember how cool it was to go look at the little chickens when you were a kid. And next weekend, you're going to go there with your kid and, buy something while you're there. So, you make a good point there. Josh showing a little more love to you. This guy, he's scoring some points.
He just
tonight.
wants me to cook a really good dinner later. I'm pretty sure that's
Hey, what can I say? He's a smart guy. He knows how to play all angles. Well, we're talking about art in your career. You're talking about business. When you decided to make this leap, I mean, you walked us through kind of the decision of leaving a stable career at a hospital where you've got a steady check coming in with benefits every couple of weeks, to making the leap to self-employment. Now you've got a full-blown gallery there, right? And we talked about how you're still the artist who's painting and doing things. You're teaching kids, but you're also selling other stuff, right? I'd like to ask about other stuff you have going there, because I've seen pictures of delicious king cakes and such. But the bigger question I want to ask is, were you ready for, or how much thought did you give to the business owner end of things? Because you're an entrepreneur, right? You are a woman business owner, And maybe that was part of the goal all along, or maybe it was a byproduct. But tell us about that role in your life and kind of what you've learned and kind of, what's that make you think of when I mention that? Hey, Mandy, you are a business owner. Tell us about that.
It's scary at first. It's not what I pictured at all. Thank gosh I grew up and I learned how to have organizational skills and the service industry, believe it or not, you learn customer service. Like I always suggest, if you're a young person, the service industry will teach you almost anything you need to know about life. You learn how to communicate, you learn how to handle people, how to respond to certain things, so it was just a mixture of that built up with trying to organize. And then luckily COVID, I hate to say luckily COVID did take over to shut things down and make it slow. But I was able to learn in baby steps. Okay, this is my next move. I have more time to plan for next month because, we can't do this. So what am I going to do? So it's more, you don't learn to swim till you're thrown in the water kind of thing for me. So I wanted to get fully thrown in and learn right then and there what I was kind of doing. Read a lot of books, studied a lot of things. The financial part of everything I wasn't familiar with yet. So it's definitely a teach your own type thing for me. Now I wish I would have took my dad serious and went for business in college.
I can relate. As a liberal arts grad that studied political science instead of business as an undergrad, I've often wished I could go back and study business management or something like that, because when you jump into a profession, whether you're an artist or a lawyer, when you make that leap, that entrepreneurial leap to open your own shop up, you become a business owner whether you like it or not. And that means, everything from payroll to taxes to marketing to you name it is now your problem. And I think some folks don't think about that. It's neat that you talk about reading things, hitting the pause button to slow down and learn as you go, because it's great to sell a ton of art, but if you don't have the proper business fundamentals in place, you could get in trouble pretty quickly. And I got to tell you that, my heart goes out to folks like you, because I come from a family of, women business owners. My mom had an antique shop, probably a half a block from where your gallery is located when I was a kid. And, I just remember how much, she enjoyed that. And you talked earlier about your dad saying art's not a real job. Our family used to give her, a hard time about antiques not being a real job. And of course we were wrong, like your dad was. And before that, my grandmother, and her sister were business owners, and they were widowed at an early age. So Ponchatoula has a strong history of women in business, and you're carrying that torch proudly and doing great. So thank you for that. What else have you learned operating a business in downtown Ponchatoula? What thoughts come to mind as lessons learned along the way?
I definitely learned you have to be outgoing and proud of yourself no matter what you do. You can't, for me as an artist, it's almost like you're selling yourself in a piece of art, or any of your product if you're a business owner. So confidence was the biggest thing I had to learn and tackle trying to make this work, because that could be your downfall right there, just not being confident in yourself, just let one thought go through your head and then you could almost lose your whole business from a bad decision made just because you're on that level. And being confident was my number one tool I had to learn. But also from this experience, I've learned that by doing this without any back education on how to do it, I can help people now and help them who don't know anything either. I know how to start from the bottom and build a business without anybody in the room telling me what I'm supposed to do, what I should do. This is the way it's done. It's that's not true, because I'm figuring this out and it's working, and you kind of just start gaining, as you do type thing. So it's cool to see somebody wanting to know, I haven't had school in the business side. I don't know what to do. I want to start a business. How can I start? So it's cool that I can relate, and I'm okay, let's get your P's and Q's together. And this is how, I did it without having training for that as well. So that part's been really cool about it.
That's a great point. And I'm seeing two angles here. One is the inspirational one. I think anyone who sees your success can't help but be inspired that we're looking at a largely self-taught artist who's thriving, kind of successful from night one as a professional, right? A self-taught businesswoman and business owner, thriving and being successful. But I'm also hearing about this sense of giving back. It seems like every time you conquer a task, whether it's art or business, you circle back to wanting to teach others and provide folks, with benefit you didn't have coming up. And I guess my question becomes, Where does that come from? That kind of giver's heart and that giver's instinct that's so clear in you.
I just think it's how I'm like wired and it's how my heart is. Like I said, I didn't have that growing up, so
Yeah.
I don't want to cry.
It's admirable. I see a lot of people, who, would say, hey, I didn't get that. You guys are on your own, So I really think it says a lot about your character that you're doing that. And I don't think I'm alone here. Chris Fontenot says, Mandy, that's a really good point. So you're getting some love here online. We've talked about Josh. You've mentioned Miss Abia. Who are some other people in your life? When we talk about important people in your life, who comes to mind?
Well, honestly, I've had some of my family members when I was a little girl. Of course, my dad had me when he was 69, so all my aunts were extremely elderly at the time. But on my dad's side, I had aunts that were so talented. Where we're from, one of my aunts actually owned her own little art gallery in Luling, little parody, which is right by Luling. And it was like a little red cabin, and I got to go there once, but I was probably about 5 or 6. So my memories of it are kind of fuzzy with it. But she was so talented. Like she made herself known kind of in Luling, and then granted, they were like 80 years old when I finally started to have a relationship with them. I was like, hey, but I remember them, they were just so inspirational, the way they can make anything come together, and they did it as hobbies. And I remember my aunt would say, if this could be my job, I wish, and it's like, I want to fuss at my dad so bad, because I'm like, well, your sister would do it as her job if she could.
Yeah.
So definitely them. My mother, before she passed away, she was my biggest fan. She made me believe that anything was possible, even if I wanted to sell candles on the street or something crazy. She's like, that's going to be the best thing ever. You do it, So she definitely, influenced me a lot. She was so talented too with anything, but I watched her.
Was she an artist like you, Mandy?
She was, but she never did anything with it. She worked at an airport for a while, a hospital, and then she was a respiratory therapist, and she ended up being a blackjack dealer at a casino. But I remember being a little girl and watching her just tired and beat, and you could tell she wasn't following her heart. So I think that made her encourage me more as a child. You do what you need to do to be happy. Money's money at the end of the day. She's like, you stay happy for your mental health. You need to be to make it in life. She's like, you're gonna be a lot happier than working your whole life away doing something paid. So she passed away. She was kind of ill. I just remember actually trying to leave her funeral. I was reading about her life. It was just I wish so bad I could have said my mom did what she loved, till the rest of her life. And it's that was the hardest thing to tackle, is knowing that she couldn't do anything that happened. So definitely, she was probably one of my biggest influences too. And it was weird because when I met Miss Kim kind of had the same personality as my mom and pushed me. Miss Kim's very stern, honest stern, and that's what I love about Miss Kim. Mandy, I think this is gonna work. That's not gonna work. Put your priorities together, but do what you love and be happy. So I think when I had that connection with Miss Kim, that kind of made me love Miss Kim even more. So it's just like I said, you get that feeling that something's right and this is what I need to do. It all just makes sense. So definitely that all kind of tied that together for influences for me.
Well, your mother sounds like just a wonderful woman. It's it seems like you were just so lucky to have her while she was with you, and that's neat to hear. And it sounds like Miss Kim's filling a void there for you as a later in life mentor for you. So that's really cool. Now you mentioned your aunt and her place in Luling. What was the art scene like in Luling coming up? Was there anything like Ponchatoula downtown with a little artist cove?
I don't want to say art wasn't a big thing. I'm trying to remember, so my dad was a huge entrepreneur. He was in the oil business, but he had a closet in Luling. My family was pretty well known in my hometown. So he set up all of his kids except for me, because I came late in life and I got the short end of the stick. But my sister had a hair salon that he helped start her own business.
Okay.
My other sister had an interior decorating shop, so he helped start her business. One of my cousins, he put in the plaza. She had a photography studio, ended up being one of the best photographers in the area. And then one of my other cousins started her gift shop there that became a huge basketry. I'm looking forward for that up there, but that started there. So it's I came from a line of everybody having a business. I watched that and we had some art stuff there, around that area, but it wasn't anything I probably remember like the first time I saw art, they brought me to the museum for a field trip when I was in school. That was the first time I seen art display or sold. So
Uh-huh.
normally, like we didn't have anything at all like that. So I didn't know that existed. Do you want to do that when I go?
Right. So although you didn't see the picture of what you have now or anything comparable, coming from that culture of entrepreneurs was probably helpful and inspiring in its own way, right? Just to show you that small business can work and support dreams. That sounds pretty neat. Well, tell us about other folks in your life. Have there been any other, mentors, guides, friends that have been particularly helpful? People, that you think that we would, enjoy hearing about?
So really, I've always been kind of like a homebody person and kept to myself, mostly because I was scared. I was scared to share anything that I can do with anybody. Josh is actually one of the first people that I'm like, hey, I paint sometimes, like it's actually a funny story how he even knew I could paint. I'll tell you that in a second, but I kind of just always kept to myself. I was always too humble to ask for help or try to get advice from people, mainly because I didn't
Uh-huh.
like I was thinking, because I was a little scared. Like I said, the confidence they need 10 years ago, I had none at all. Like it was pretty bad. Almost kind of sad how like lack of that I had. But I did have a few friends that were here to me. Once again, Ponchatoula, I feel like has the best people because you come here and it's like the people are so wholesome here and like they
Mhm.
adapt to you for some reason. Like I haven't really found anybody like mean or ugly in this area. So I made a few friends. My friend Alicia, she actually owns Value Nutrition. She
Okay.
supported me when she saw what I can do. She put some of my pieces in her store after the art and wine stroll. So I had a few pieces and
Right.
the little, loaded tea flakes. That was pretty cool, nice of her. So I love that. And then also I have some stuff over there at like Trevor's place now at Ponchatoula.
Hmm.
Like I've had a bunch of people come over and get art for me, and they help support me too. So that's been kind of cool to see people help out around the community and help get your name out there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing I love about Ponchatoula. We help our neighbors, even if you don't have a 20-year, friendship going there. It doesn't take long for folks to jump in and really help you. And you've mentioned several times the challenge of confidence, and I think that's something that everybody can relate to, right? Because there are very few people that are just born with that confidence. I don't know if you watch Cobra Kai, but like now we're watching even the bad guy Johnny, who seemed like the most confident, cocky blonde kid ever from the '80s movie Karate Kid. He had his own issues and challenges and confidence. So I mean, we all have some level of insecurity, and it's neat to hear how you mentioned Josh primarily, but these other friends supporting you and helping you put yourself out there so that you could overcome that. And I mean, we're seeing here in the comments, right? I mean, Sarah Tamburo here says Mandy is so talented. Sarah, thank you for tuning in and for commenting. Samantha Jean, Mandy is so talented and a giver's heart. She talks about how you're helping her son with his dream of owning a business, and you deserve all this praise. I mean, the compliments are coming in one after another, and people are doing it with their own wallet, right? When somebody will take money out of their pocket to pay you for your art, they don't have to say anything nice about it. That tells you all
No,
you know about
no, not at
how great
all.
the product is. But it's neat that you're able to share the credit kind of with the folks around you who help you overcome that. What would your advice be to someone, whether we're talking art, business, things you've overcome, or something totally unrelated, somebody who's trying to make a high school basketball team? What would your advice be to somebody who's having a crisis of confidence, in terms of the first step to take and kind of, getting them on that path to overcoming, the insecurity and lack of confidence issue?
It would definitely be to get that out of your head, get out of that headspace, because you are your own worst critic. Nobody can tell you you're not good enough except for yourself, because that's somebody else's opinion, not your own. That had to be the hardest thing that I had to learn. It's like, especially as an artist, it's like, who's to say
Sure.
that's not done right? Or who's to say that's ugly? That's totally somebody's opinion. Like, you can't tell me that the art's not done right because you're not the artist. So it's the same thing with any sport. Like, you're going to play at your own ability. Nobody can tell you that's not right or that's wrong, because for one, you're learning too, and it's always the people that can't do what you do normally that try to criticize you.
Right.
So it's like, don't listen to the opinion of others who aren't even in your shoes. Like, they don't even know
Sure.
you're going to get there. So for sure, I say you got to get out of that headspace of that thought, and then work towards it. So work on your confidence if you can, like practice to make yourself better so you know you're better than you were the day before. So I feel like that's, that's the biggest key is to work past it. And then when you do get past it, you're going to think you're completely insane forever, not believing yourself or doubting yourself to begin with. So definitely one of the best feelings to overcome that, confidence thing. So
that's great advice. I mean, what I'm hearing is start, by understanding, that you're doing it for yourself, right? Not others, and understand that most of those critics are people that don't have the courage you have to even give it a try, and then work hard to overcome it. And then the other takeaway might be do what you did, which is surround yourself with supportive people that care about you and have your back and can help you flourish. And if you do those things that you've done in your life, no matter what you're trying to do, you're setting yourself up for success. Getting more comments in here. Sarah, thank you for still watching. We're 40 minutes into this and you're still here, so we appreciate that. We have another Sarah Wells Magliola.
There's a bunch of Sarahs out there, I probably.
She says, Mandy, that you are an amazing artist and a wonderful teacher, and that her daughter Ava loves going to your class. Sarah, please tell Chris hello for me. I haven't seen him in a while. You guys are a great family, and it's neat that you have Ava going to these classes. Well, I know you've got to teach a class in 19 minutes, so we're almost coming to a close here. But I want to ask you this, what are some of the keys that you focus on with these kids? We talked a little bit about the fundamentals and whatnot, but in terms of, the mindset of an artist and how they should approach the process of art. I guess what I'm talking about here is focusing on what's in their head, what's in their heart before you get to the talent in their hands, if you will. What do you do to build these kids up so that you can bring the best out of them? What's the approach there?
So, of course, different ages, it's a different ballgame for each step. My younger group, they think that art has to look a certain way. So they try to be perfect, and a lot of them give up because they think it's wrong from the get-go. Like I said earlier, like who's to say your art's wrong, even at that age? Like, right. So for them to learn that it doesn't have to be as perfect as they think it does, that kind of starts the process of them becoming artists too. And then also to embrace their creative thoughts, like even their weird thoughts. Like I love my little weird, like they know they're weird. I call them weird all the time, but like the good weird that, crazy ideas. Like I had a dream last night that like the unicorn jumped over the rainbow, and I'm like, paint it, let's draw it. Right. Like, let's put that dream in a paper, because that's going to be something one day that you're going to look back, remember forever. And two, that's your own idea and nobody else's. So that makes you different. Sure. Everybody needs to find their style in the art world. So like that's what I struggle with forever. It's like, what is my style? It's cool to see them develop different things. Then as they get older, it's more of like technique for them. So like middle-aged group, we focus on like making things a little bit more perfect and realistic too, like with our theories. But as long as they're getting the concept of like how things are supposed to work, then I know they're on the right path. But it's hard to find what colors go together and why we're shading, why we're highlighting things, and why things go like this that become appealing to the eye. So with them, we'll like study a little art history, a little art theory, and then kind of learn why it works. And even though they might think it's crazy at first, you'll see progression like in the week, and then they're like, oh, that's why you made me do that. I'm like, exactly. Yeah. And then my teen group, the hardest thing for that age, I got two here right now, they're probably gonna look back at me in a minute from meetings. For them, they're still discovering who they are and who they want to be. So of course, every piece of art that my teen group does is different. But for them, I want them to know it's okay to be different, and that's what's going to make your art beautiful and perfect. And it's okay to come here to get your like mind off of life. Sorry. It's okay to have a hobby that you love, and it's okay to like want to do this as almost like a therapy too at that age, because there's so many hormones and emotions at their age. It's cool to see them come here and get away from the world and escape, and also create good stuff. So, and also you want to be more strict with technique too as well with that age group. But every age, it's cool to see them advance and grow. You just have to watch personalities and stuff and make it fit them so they love what they do.
That's a wonderful approach, and I just love the way you think about this stuff. And I'm not alone. D Pens here says that she loves your adult life. That's not hey Mandy, it's awesome and for people to go see your shop. And I would encourage anybody watching, please go. Let's support this downtown business. Let's help Mandy keep doing the great things she does by supporting this business. and helping her thrive. And I know you've got a class to teach in just 15 minutes, Mandy. So I'll close with this question. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers about any topic at all? We've covered, personal life, we've covered business, we've covered art, you name it. Talk about that or something new, but what would you like to share with our viewers before we close?
Before we close, I just want everybody to be on the lookout for what this town has potential to become, because I know me and a few other people, things we discussed, I cannot wait to see like where this town goes, and I'm so happy to be part of it. Like, for one, it feels right. Two, I love all of our shops in downtown people, but I just know in my heart this town has so much growth, and we're going to bring in so many more people to this area that's going to love it just as much as I did as an outsider. Like Ponchatoula really is a hidden gem, I find, and it's like I can't wait for other people to experience that as well. So other than that, I love this town so much, and I really just want to thank everybody for everything. Me not being from here, the acceptance, the support, my parents who, children I teach, like, thank you so much for letting me do that and pour my heart into these kids. So it's just, I love like this area so much and what I've, gotten to experience here and everything I got to go through with it. So it's been
thank
a
you for
blessing.
sharing that, man. And you're dead on. You're 100% right. And I want to thank you for choosing Ponchatoula, because it's a two-way street, right? We're supporting you and your business, but we couldn't do that unless you chose this town in the first place. And thanks to Josh for keeping you here. He may not have brought you here, but he helped keep you here. And you two make such a cute couple. It's been really exciting to get to know you a little bit. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me at my law firm at Ponchatoula.com. We really want to help you grow. So with that, we'll say bye to Mandy. And to our audience, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Ponchatoula Live will be back to here next week, same time, 5 p.m. Thursday. And we're going to have Joel DeSherry here to talk about Commission Mankind, which is a local charity that is building water wells in Kenya for people that don't have clear drinking water. So thank you for tuning in today to learn about Mandy and follow your art, located right here in the heart of downtown Ponchatoula. Mandy Mae is a great artist. Please support her and also follow your art. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Take care.